On my wedding day, I realized I was marrying a stranger. Not during the ceremony, not when I saw him at the altar. It happened earlier, much earlier, in a quiet room, just down the hall from where everything was about to begin. The morning started perfectly, or at least it looked that way. Sunlight poured through the tall windows of the bridal suite, soft and golden, like something out of a movie. My dress hung by the mirror. White, elegant, exactly what I had imagined since I was a kid. My friends moved around me, laughing, fixing my hair, adjusting the details. "Breathe," one of them said, smiling. "You're about to marry the love of your life." I smiled back, because that's what I believed too. At least, I thought I did. Everything felt right. The venue, the flowers, the music drifting faintly from downstairs as guests began to arrive. Even my phone kept buzzing with messages. "Can't wait to see you. You're going to look amazing. This is your day. My day." That phrase stayed with me, because somewhere in the middle of all that excitement, something didn't feel like mine anymore. I noticed it when I picked up my phone, just to check the time. 11:42 a.m. 18 minutes before I was supposed to walk down the aisle. There was a notification, a message request, from someone I didn't know. No profile picture, no name I recognized, just a single line. "Are you sure you want to marry him?" I stared at it. For a second, I almost laughed. Probably a prank, or someone jealous. People do weird things when they see someone happy. I was about to ignore it. Really, I almost did. But then another message came in. This one wasn't a question. It was a screenshot. My stomach dropped. I opened it. Slowly, carefully, like maybe if I didn't move too fast, it wouldn't be real. It was a conversation. Not mine. His. My fiancé's. And another woman. At first, I didn't understand what I was looking at. The names. The emojis. The tone. Too familiar. Too intimate. Then I saw the timestamp. Last night. My chest tightened. No, that didn't make sense. He was with me last night. We had dinner together. We talked about the wedding. He held my hand and told me he couldn't wait to marry me. I remembered exactly what he said. Yvette. Never been more sure about anything. My fingers started to feel cold, but I kept scrolling, because once you see something like that, you don't stop. You need to know how deep it goes. More messages, more proof. Not just flirting, not just harmless conversation. Plans, private jokes, things that didn't belong to someone about to get married in less than 20 minutes. Then one line hit me harder than everything else. "She has no idea." The room around me blurred for a second. Voices faded. Laughter turned distant, like I was underwater. "She's going to be late," someone called out behind me. "We need to finish your makeup." I didn't respond. I couldn't, because in that moment, everything I thought I knew about him started to collapse. I looked at the screen again, at the messages, at the name of the woman. I didn't recognize it, but that didn't matter, because what mattered was that this wasn't a mistake. This wasn't confusion. This was real. My phone buzzed again. Another message from the same unknown number. "There's more. You deserve to know the truth." I swallowed slowly. My reflection in the mirror caught my eye. Perfect hair, perfect dress, perfect bride, standing there, holding proof that none of it was real. I should have panicked. I should have cried. I should have run out of that room and demanded answers. But I didn't, because something else took over. Something quieter, colder, clearer. I typed back. Just one message. "Who is this?" The reply came almost instantly. "Someone who knows who he really is." I stared at those words, and for the first time that day, I felt something real. Not excitement, not happiness. Truth. Outside the room, music started to rise. The signal that the ceremony was about to begin. My wedding, my moment, my future. I locked my phone, slowly, carefully, and placed it on the table. Then I looked back at myself in the mirror, at the woman who had been so sure just minutes ago. "I need a minute," I said quietly. My friends paused, confused, concerned. "Are you okay?" one of them asked. I met her eyes, and for a second, I almost told her everything. But instead, I smiled. A small one, controlled. "I'm fine," I said. And that was the moment. Everything changed, because I wasn't fine, not even close. But I wasn't going to stop the wedding. Not yet. If he thought I had no idea, then I was going to keep it that way, just a little longer. Because if there was one thing I understood now, it was this. I wasn't about to marry a stranger. I was about to expose one. 24 hours earlier, everything still made sense. Or at least, I thought it did. The rehearsal dinner was loud. Not chaotic, just full. Full of people. Full of laughter. Full of that kind of energy that makes you believe everything is exactly where it should be. I remember standing near the entrance, watching everyone arrive. Friends. Family. Smiles everywhere. Someone handed me a glass of champagne. You made it, they said. You're really doing this. I laughed. Yeah, I said. I guess I am. And I meant it. At that moment, I really did. He was across the room, talking, smiling, moving easily from group to group like he always did. Confident, charming. The version of him everyone loved. The version I fell in love with. When he saw me, he smiled and walked over. Wrapped his arm around my waist like it was the most natural thing in the world. You okay? He asked. Of course, I said. Just checking, he replied. Big day tomorrow. Big day. I nodded, but something about the way he said it felt slightly off. Not wrong, just distant. Dinner started shortly after. Long table, candlelight, soft music in the background. Everything felt warm, carefully planned, perfect. People gave speeches, jokes, memories, stories about us, how we met, how we knew, how we were meant to be. I smiled through all of it, because that's what you do, because that's what everyone expects. But then, there were moments, small ones, easy to miss, if you weren't paying attention, like when his phone buzzed. He didn't check it right away, not in front of me, but a few minutes later, he excused himself. Work, he said quickly. Just need a second. I nodded, didn't question it. Why would I? He came back 10 minutes later, smiling again, like nothing had happened. Or when one of my friends leaned over and whispered, Hey, does he always keep his phone like that? Like what? I asked. Face down, she said. All night. I glanced at the table. She was right. His phone hadn't left the table, but it had. Never turned over. Screen hidden. Every time. It's nothing, I said. And I believe that too. Or at least, I wanted to. Later that night, things slowed down. People started leaving. Hugs. Goodbyes. Last-minute reminders about tomorrow. I stepped outside for some air. The night was cool. Quiet. A break from everything inside. He joined me a minute later. Stood beside me. Close, but not quite touching. You nervous? He asked. A little, I admitted. He nodded. Yeah, me too. That surprised me. You? I said, smiling. You don't seem nervous. He shrugged. Just a lot going on. A lot going on. Again, not wrong. But not right either. I turned to look at him. Really look. And for a split second, something felt unfamiliar. Not his face. Not his voice. Just the feeling. Like I was standing next to someone I knew, but didn't fully understand. You okay? I asked. He smiled immediately. Too quickly. Yeah, of course. Then he kissed my forehead. Light. Quick. And stepped back. I should head inside, he said. They're probably looking for us. Us. I nodded. Yeah. But he didn't go back inside. Not right away. He checked his phone first. Turned slightly away from me. Just enough. I didn't say anything. I didn't move. I just watched. For a second too long. Then he slipped the phone into his pocket and smiled again. That same smile. The one everyone trusted. Come on, he said. Let's finish this. Finish this. I followed him inside. Back into the noise. Back into the lights. Back into the version of everything that made sense. That night, we went home together. Same routine. Same space. Same conversations. He talked about the ceremony. The timeline. Who would stand where. What time we needed to leave in the morning. Everything was normal. Exactly how it should be. But when we went to bed, something was different. He stayed up later than usual. Said he needed to check a few things. Emails. Work. Always work. I fell asleep before he did. At least, I think I did. Because at some point in the night, I woke up, just for a second. The room was dark. Quiet. But he wasn't next to me. I remember opening my eyes slightly. Looking toward the door. A faint light coming from the hallway. And then, his voice. Low. Careful. Barely above a whisper. I couldn't hear what he was saying. Not clearly. Just the tone. Soft. Intimate. Not the way you talk about work. I closed my eyes again. Told myself I was imagining things. Told myself it didn't matter. Told myself everything was fine. Because sometimes the truth shows up early, quietly, subtly, and if you're not ready for it, you look away. That night, I looked away. The next morning, I wouldn't have that choice anymore. 5 minutes. That's all I had. 5 minutes before I was supposed to walk down the aisle and marry a man I no longer recognized. The room felt smaller, the air heavier, like everything was closing in at once. But my mind was sharper than it had ever been. I picked up my phone again, unlocked it, went back to the messages. Who are you? I typed. This time, I didn't hesitate. The reply came slower, not instant like before. A full minute passed. Then 2. Another knock on the door. Are you ready? Someone called. Almost. One of my bridesmaids answered for me. I stared at the screen, waiting, because now I needed more than proof. I needed the truth. Finally, a message appeared. I'm the woman he's been seeing for 8 months. My chest tightened. 8 months. Not a mistake. Not a one-time thing. A life. A second life. Another message followed. I didn't know about you at first. I swallowed. Hard. He told me he was single. Of course he did. My fingers hovered over the screen, then moved. Why are you telling me this now? The reply came almost instantly this time. Because I just found out about you too. Silence. Not around me. Inside me. Everything slowed down. Every sound faded. So this wasn't just betrayal. It was deception. Layered. Carefully built. 2 relationships. 2 versions of the same man. And neither of us knew about the other. Another message appeared. He told me he had to travel for work this weekend. I closed my eyes for a second. Just a second. Work. Always work. I opened them again. Focused. Where are you? I asked. There was a pause. Then, outside. My heart skipped. Outside where? The venue. Everything inside me went still. She was here. Not somewhere else. Not far away. Here. At my wedding. Another message. I needed to see if it was real. I stood up slowly. My dress rustling softly around me. The room spun just slightly, but I stayed steady. Because now, this wasn't just something happening to me. This was something unfolding. In real time. I'll be right back, I said quietly. My bridesmaids turned toward me. Confused. Wait, where are you going? One of them asked. Just a minute, I replied. I didn't wait for another question. I walked toward the door, opened it, stepped into the hallway. The music from the ceremony drifted faintly through the building. Guests settling in. Voices low. Excited. Everything was still moving forward. Exactly as planned. I walked faster. Careful not to trip over the hem of my dress. Careful not to draw attention. Because right now, I wasn't a bride. I was someone looking for the truth. The doors leading outside came into view. Tall. Glass. Sunlight pouring through them. I pushed one open. Stepped out. The air hit me instantly. Cool. Real. And then, I saw her. Standing near the edge of the parking lot. Phone in hand. Looking down at the screen. Then up. Our eyes met. She knew. Immediately. No words. No introductions. No confusion. She looked at me the same way I looked at her. Recognition. Not of who we were, but of what we had both just lost. She took a step closer. Slow. Careful. I'm sorry, she said. 2 words. Simple. Honest. I studied her face. Not with anger. Not with blame. Just understanding. Because she wasn't the one who lied. She wasn't the one who created this. We were both standing in the same place. Just on opposite sides of the same lie. How long? I asked quietly. 8 months, she said again. I nodded. And you? She asked. 2 years. Her expression changed. Shalt. Then something deeper. Because now, she understood the full picture too. This isn't everything, she said. Of course it wasn't. There's more, she added. There always is. I took a slow breath. Show me, I said. Because at this point, there was nothing left to protect. Nothing left to pretend. Only the truth. And I needed all of it. She didn't say anything at first. She just unlocked her phone and handed it to me. I didn't send you everything, she said quietly. I didn't know how much you already knew. I took the phone. My hands were steady. Still steady. Which was strange. Because everything else wasn't. The first thing I saw was his name. Saved with a heart. Just like mine. I almost laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was so predictable. I scrolled. Slowly. Carefully. Messages. Photos. Plans. Not hidden. Not secretive. Not careful. Comfortable. That's what hit me the hardest. He wasn't sneaking around. He was living two lives. Like they both belonged to him. This weekend, she said, watching me. He told me he had a business trip. Business trip. I nodded slightly. He said we'd celebrate when he got back, she added. Celebrate. I kept scrolling. Then I saw something that made me stop. A screenshot of a bank transfer. From him. To her. Not small. Not casual. A large amount. What is this? I asked. She hesitated. Then answered. He said he needed help, she said. Something about investments. He promised he'd pay it back. I looked at her. Really looked. Did he? I asked. She shook her head. No, of course he didn't. I handed the phone back for a second. Just long enough to process. Then she showed me more. Another message thread. Different tone this time. Less romantic. More transactional. After the wedding, everything will be easier. I froze. After the wedding. My wedding. Another message. Once things are settled, I'll have access to more. Access. My chest tightened. Not for heartbreak. Not from jealousy. From clarity. This wasn't just about cheating. This was a plan. Careful. Patient. And I was part of it. Not as a partner. Not as a future. But as a step. I looked at her again. Did he ever talk about me? I asked. She nodded slowly. At first, no, she said. Then recently, she hesitated. What? I pressed. He said you were complicated, she said. That the relationship wasn't working. Of course. That you still depended on him, she added. I almost smiled. Depended on him. He said the wedding was expected, she continued. Like something he had to go through with. Had to. I let that sit. Because now, everything made sense. The distance. The late nights. The distractions. He wasn't unsure. He wasn't conflicted. He was managing. Two stories. Two versions. Two realities. And making sure neither one collided. Until now. Why didn't you leave? I asked her. She looked down. I thought I knew him, she said. I nodded. So did I. We stood there in silence for a moment. Not awkward. Not tense. Just shared. Because whatever this was, it wasn't between us. It was about him. And what he had done. I didn't come here to ruin your day, she said quietly. I just couldn't let you walk into this without knowing. I believed her. Because there was no performance. No manipulation. No agenda. Just truth. And, at this point, that was all I needed. Inside the venue, the music shifted. Louder now. A signal. It was time. Guests were seated. The ceremony was starting. My wedding. I looked down at my dress. At the details. The effort. The expectation. Everything that had led to this moment. And for the first time, I saw it clearly. Not as a beginning, but as a stage. A setup for something he thought he could control. I took a slow breath. Then looked back at her. Thank you, I said. She nodded. What are you going to do? She asked. That question lingered, because there were a lot of answers. I could walk away, disappear, cancel everything. Or I could finish what he started. On my terms. I smiled. Not wide, not emotional, just certain. I'm going to the ceremony, I said. Her eyes widened slightly. Are you sure? She asked. Yes, I replied. Because now, this wasn't about stopping a wedding. It was about ending a lie. And I wasn't going to do that quietly. I turned, walked back toward the doors. Each step steady, each breath controlled. Because by the time I reached that aisle, I wasn't going to be the bride he expected. I was going to be the truth he couldn't hide from. I didn't run. I didn't cancel. I didn't disappear. I walked back inside. The moment the doors closed behind me, the noise came rushing back. Music, voices, movement, everything exactly as it should be. Like nothing had changed. But everything had. My bridesmaids turned toward me the second I stepped into the room. Where were you? One of them asked. We've been looking everywhere. I smiled. Soft, calm, controlled. Just needed some air, I said. They didn't question it. Why would they? To them, this was still my wedding day. To me, it was something else entirely. They adjusted my dress, fixed my hair, checked the final details. You look perfect, someone said. Perfect. I looked at myself in the mirror again. Same dress, same face, same bride. But now, I knew exactly what I was walking into. 2 minutes, someone called from outside. 2 minutes. I took a slow breath. In, out, and made a decision. I wasn't going to stop this. Not yet. Because if I walked away now, he would walk away too. With no consequences. No truce. No one knowing what he had done. And I wasn't going to give him that. Not after everything. Not after the lies. I turned to my bridesmaids. Smiled again. This time a little more real. I'm ready, I said. The music changed. The doors opened. And suddenly, it was happening. Guests stood. Faces turned. Phones lifted. Everyone watching. Waiting. For me. I stepped forward. Slowly. Carefully. The aisle stretched out in front of me. Long, bright. Unavoidable. And, at the end of it, he was standing there. Exactly where he was supposed to be. Suit perfect. Posture confident. Smile flawless. The same smile. The one that made everyone believe him. The one I used to believe. He looked at me, and for a second, I wondered if he knew, if he could see it, the difference. But he didn't, because he smiled wider, relieved, proud, like everything was going exactly as planned. I started walking, one step, then another, each step steady, each breath controlled, because this wasn't about fear anymore. This was about timing, about letting the moment build, letting him believe, just a little longer. Halfway down the aisle, I saw the guests more clearly. Friends, family, people who loved me, people who trusted him. That thought stayed with me, because in just a few minutes, everything they believed was about to change. I reached the front. He took my hands, warm, familiar, and suddenly, that familiarity felt strange, like something I used to know, but didn't anymore. You look incredible, he whispered. I smiled. Thank you, I said. My voice didn't shake, not even a little. The officiant began speaking. Words about love, commitment, trust. I almost laughed. The irony was almost too perfect. I glanced at him, at the man I thought I knew, and for the first time, I saw him clearly. Not the version he showed me, not the version he showed everyone else. The real one. Careful, calculated. A man who thought he could live two lives, without either one catching up to him. Until now, the ceremony moved forward, closer, and then the moment came. Do you take this man? The question hung in the air, waiting, everyone watching, everyone expecting the same answer. The only answer. I looked at him, really looked, and this time, I didn't see the man I was supposed to marry. I saw the man I was about to expose. I took a breath and smiled, because this was exactly where I wanted to be. Do you take this man? The officiant's voice was calm, steady, practiced, but I didn't answer. At first, no one noticed. A pause at a wedding isn't unusual. People smiled, waited, expected a laugh, a tear, a soft yes, but I stayed silent. I kept looking at him, and for the first time, he noticed something was wrong. His smile didn't disappear, not completely, but it shifted, just slightly. Hey, he whispered under his breath. You okay? I tilted my head a little, still holding his hands, still standing exactly where I was supposed to be, and I smiled, not warmly, not nervously, just calmly. I said, my voice clear enough for the microphone to catch. We should talk about something first. A ripple moved through the crowd. Confusion. Soft murmurs. The officiant blinked, caught off guard. My fiancé's grip tightened slightly around my hands. What are you doing? He whispered. I didn't answer him. Instead, I let go. Slowly. That's when the room changed. Because now, everyone could feel it. This wasn't a pause. This was something else. I reached for the small microphone clipped near my dress. Adjusted it slightly. I didn't plan to do this, I said. That part was true. But I also didn't plan to find out that the man I'm about to marry, I paused, just long enough, has been living a completely different life. Silence. Not confused this time. Stunned. What are you talking about? He said quickly. Too quickly. I turned to him, met his eyes. You can tell them, I said softly. He shook his head immediately. No, this isn't the time. You're right. I cut in gently. It's not. I looked out of the crowd. Friends. Family. People who came here to celebrate love. They deserve the truth, I said. Behind me, I heard movement. The doors. I didn't turn around. I didn't need to. Because I knew. She's here, I said. That got everyone's attention. What? He snapped, his voice rising slightly. I stepped to the side, and that's when she walked in. Slow, careful, uncertain, but she didn't stop. Not until she reached the front. Gasps, whispers, confusion spreading through the room like a wave. Who is that? Someone whispered. I didn't answer. I looked at him, because this part was his. His face had gone pale. Not shocked. Exposed. Do you want to explain? I said quietly. Or should I? He opened his mouth. Closed it. Because there was nothing he could say. Nothing that would fix this. Nothing that would undo what was already happening. I took a step closer to the other woman. Stood beside her. Not as enemies, but as two people who finally understood the same truth. He's been with both of us, I said. My voice steady. Clear. For months. A louder reaction this time. Gasps. Voices rising. That's not true, he said quickly. Too quickly. I held on my phone. Do you want me to read the messages? I asked. Silence. Because he knew. They knew. Everyone knew. I turned slightly. Enough for the guests to see the screen. Or maybe the video, I added. That was it. The moment everything broke. No, he started, stepping forward. But it was too late. Because the truth was already in the room. I lowered the phone slowly. Looked at him one last time. Not with anger. Not with heartbreak. Just clarity. I thought I knew you, I said. My voice didn't shake. I thought I was marrying someone I trusted. A pause. But I was wrong. Complete silence. The kind that doesn't come back. So I stepped back. Out of position. Out of the ceremony. Out of the lie. I'm not marrying you, I said. Simple. Final. And just like that, it was over. For a moment, no one moved. It was like the entire room had forgotten how to react. Then everything happened at once. Voices. Loud. Confused. Overlapping. What is going on? Is this real? Did she just say? The silence shattered. Guests turned to each other. Some stood up. Some stayed frozen in their seats. Phones were still raised. But now, they weren't recording a wedding. They were recording the truth. My fiancé stepped toward me. Fast. Desperate. This is insane, he said, his voice sharp now. You're making a mistake. A mistake. I almost smiled. He reached for my arm. I stepped back. Don't, I said. Just one word. But stopped him. Because whatever control he thought he had was gone. This isn't what it looks like, he said quickly, turning toward the crowd now. She's twisting things. She doesn't understand. Then explain it, I said. Calm. Simple. The room went quiet again. Not completely, but enough. Because now, everyone was listening, waiting. He looked at me, then at her, then back at the crowd. And for the first time, he didn't have the right words. I can explain, he said again. But he didn't, because he couldn't. Behind me, I heard someone crying. Soft. Shaken. I turned slightly. My mother. Her hand covering her mouth. Her eyes filled with confusion. With pain. That hit me. Not like before. Not sharp. But real. Because this wasn't just my moment anymore. This was everyone's. His family stood up next. His father looking stunned. His mother already shaking her head. What did you do? She whispered. Not to me. To him. That said everything. The other woman stepped forward slightly. Not aggressively. Not dramatically. Just enough to be seen. I didn't know, she said. Her voice quiet, but clear. I didn't know about her. That shifted the room again. Because now, this wasn't just an accusation. It was confirmation. From both sides. You need to stop, he snapped, turning toward her. There it was. Not denial. Control. Too late. You told me you were single, she said. Still calm. Still steady. And you told her you loved her, I added. The words landed harder together. Because now, there was nowhere left for him to stand. This is being blown out of proportion, he said louder now. You're both overreacting. Overreacting. I'll let that sit. Let everyone hear it. Because that word said more than anything else he had said so far. No apology. No responsibility. Just deflection. I looked around the room. At the faces. At the disbelief. At the reality settling in. Then I looked back at him. And something inside me went completely still. Not angry. Not emotional. Just done. You lied to both of us, I said. Simple. Final. And now everyone knows. That was it. No shouting. No breakdown. Just truth. He ran a hand through his hair. Pacing now. Try to regain control. Can we just talk about this privately? He said, lowering his voice again. This doesn't need to be like this. Privately. I shook my head. It was private when you were lying, I said. It stopped being private when you brought me here. That landed. Because it was true. He looked around again. At the guests. At the cameras. At the damage. And finally, he understood. Not what he did, but what it cost him. I took a step back. Then another. Creating space. Not just between us, but between me and everything this moment was supposed to be. I'm leaving, I said. No hesitation. No doubt. And this time, no one tried to stop me. Because there was nothing left to hold me there. Not love. Not trust. Not even the illusion of either. The doors closed behind me. And just like that, the noise disappeared. No more voices. No more whispers. No more eyes watching me. Just silence. Real silence. I didn't stop walking. Not in the hallway. Not when I reached the exit. Not even when I stepped outside again. The air felt colder now. Sharper. Or maybe I was just finally feeling it. I made it to the edge of the parking lot before I stopped. Just stood there. Still. My hand was shaking. Slightly. Barely noticeable. But enough. Because everything I had held together inside was finally starting to move. You okay? Her voice. I turned. She was still there. Standing a few steps behind me. Not too close. Not too far. I don't know, I said honestly. That was the first real answer I had given all day. She nodded, like she understood, because she probably did. I didn't expect it to go like that, she said. Neither did I replied. A small pause. Then she let out a breath. But I'm glad you did it, she added. I looked at her. What? I asked. Because now you're not stuck, she said. Stuck. That word stayed with me. Because she was right. If I hadn't seen the truth, if I hadn't acted when I did, I would have walked down that aisle, said the words, signed the papers, and tied myself to something that was never real. My phone started buzzing again. Nonstop now. Messages. Calls. Notifications. Everyone had something to say. Where are you? What just happened? Are you okay? I stared at the screen. Didn't answer. Not yet. Because I didn't have the energy to explain something I had just barely processed myself. I should go, she said quietly. I nodded. Thank you, I said again. She gave a small smile. You saved yourself, she replied. Then she turned and walked away. Just like that. No drama. No scene. Just gone. I stood there for a moment longer. Then I heard footsteps behind me. Faster this time. I didn't need to turn around to know who it was. Hey, wait. His voice. Closer now. Breathing uneven. I closed my eyes for a second. Then opened them. And turned. He looked different. Not the man at the altar. Not the confident version from earlier. This version was trying to catch up. What are you doing? He said. You can't just leave like that. I almost laughed. I just did, I replied. He ran a hand through his hair. Frustrated. Desperate. This didn't have to happen like this, he said. I tilted my head slightly. How else would it happen? I asked. He hesitated. Because there wasn't a better version of this. Just a quieter one. We could have talked, he said. Talked. I took a step back. You had months to talk, I said. That landed. But he pushed forward anyway. I didn't mean for it to go this far, he said quickly. I looked at him. Really looked. And for the first time, I didn't see someone I loved. I saw someone who got caught. That's the problem, I said quietly. He frowned. You didn't mean for it to go this far, I repeated. Another step back. More space. But you meant for it to happen. Silence. He didn't deny it. Didn't argue. Because he couldn't. Look, he said softer now. We can fix this. Fix. I shook my head. There's nothing to fix, I said. Because there wasn't. Not anymore. Not after everything. He took a step closer. Please, he said. That word. It might have meant something before. But now, it didn't. I stepped back one last time, creating a distance he couldn't close. You don't get to ask me for anything, I said. Calm, clear, and final. He stopped. Because this time, he understood. Not everything, but enough. Enough to know I wasn't coming back. I turned again. And this time, I didn't stop. Because some things you don't walk away from slowly. You leave completely. I didn't go home right away. I drove. No destination. No plan. Just distance. From the venue. From him. From everything that was supposed to be my future. My phone kept buzzing. Nonstop. Calls. Messages. Notifications. Everyone wanted to know what happened. Everyone wanted an explanation. But I didn't answer. Not yet. Because this wasn't something I was going to explain emotionally. This was something I was going to finish properly. I pulled over after a few minutes. Parked. Turned off the engine. And finally, I looked at my phone. Dozens of messages. Missed calls. Group chats exploding. But one thing stood out. A message from an unknown number. Not the same one from before. A different one. I opened it. You don't know the full story. I stared at the screen. Of course I didn't. There's always more. I typed back. Then, tell me. The reply came quickly. Check your email. I frowned slightly. Opened my inbox. There it was. A new message. No name. Just an attachment. I hesitated for a second. Then opened it. Documents. Not personal. Not emotional. Financial. Transfers. Accounts. Records. And his name was everywhere. My stomach didn't drop this time. Because at this point, nothing surprised me anymore. I scrolled. Patterns. Repeated transactions. Large amounts. Different names. Different accounts. But the same behavior. He wasn't just lying about relationships. He was using them. Money. Access. Trust. Everything he took from her. Wasn't the first time. And it wouldn't have been the last. Until now. Another message came through. He did the same thing to me. So there were more. Not just two. Not just us. A system. A pattern. A strategy. I leaned back in my seat. Closed my eyes for a second. Not overwhelmed. Just certain. Because now, this wasn't just about me anymore. This was about what he had been doing. To everyone. I opened my eyes. Looked at the screen again. Then I made a decision. I wasn't going to keep this quiet. Not out of anger. Not out of revenge. But because silence is what lets people like him continue. I opened my social media. Paused for a second. Because I knew, once I did this, there was no going back. Then I started typing. Not emotional. Not dramatic. Just clear. Today was supposed to be my wedding day. I stopped. Read it once. Then continued. Instead, I found out the man I was about to marry has been living multiple lives. Lying, manipulating, and using people for his own gain. I attached the evidence. Screenshots. Messages. Documents. Not everything. Just enough. Enough to show the truth. Enough to make it undeniable. I didn't insult him. Didn't call him names. I didn't need to. The facts were enough. I read the post one last time. Then press post. And just like that, it was out. Not just in a room full of guests, but everywhere. Public. Belmano. My phone exploded instantly. Notifications. Shares. Messages. But I didn't check them. Because I already knew what mattered had been done. Not revenge. Closure. I put my phone down. Sat there in the quiet. And for the first time all day, I felt something shift. Not pain. Not anger. Freedom. Because I didn't just walk away from him. I made sure no one else would walk into the same lie. I didn't check my phone right away. Not after I posted it. I just sat there, in the quiet, letting the moment settle. Because I knew, once the truth is out, it doesn't stay still. It spreads. Slow at first. Then all at once. My phone buzzed again. And again. And again. I picked it up this time. Unlocked it. Hundreds of notifications. Messages from people I knew. People I didn't. Is this real? I'm so sorry. I can't believe he did this. Then, messages I didn't expect. I dated him last year. He told me the same things. I thought I was the only one. I stared at the screen. More. Not just one. Not just two. A pattern. Exactly what I had seen in those documents. But now, it had voices. Real people. Real stories. And they all sounded the same. The charm. The promises. The lies. Different names. Same script. I leaned back in my seat. Let's sink in. Because this wasn't just exposure anymore. It was confirmation. Everything I had uncovered was only part of it. Then his name started trending. I didn't even search for it. It found me. People sharing the post. Commenting. Tagging. Some shocked. Some angry. Some not surprised at all. Because apparently, he He had always been good at hiding things. Just not good enough. My phone rang. His name. I stared at it. Didn't answer. It rang again. And again. Then messages. Take it. Down. You don't understand what you're doing. This is going too far. I read them. One by one. Calm. Unmoved. Because now, he wasn't trying to fix anything. He was trying to contain it. Too late. Another message came in. Not from him. From his boss. Short. Direct. We need to speak with you regarding the information that has surfaced. I didn't reply. But I understood. Because actions don't stay personal. When they affect everything around them. His job. His reputation. His life. It was all connected. And now, it was all falling apart. Later that evening, I finally went home. The apartment felt different. Not empty. Just quiet. The kind of quiet that comes after something ends. I set my phone down on the table. Didn't check again. Because I didn't need to. I already knew what was happening. Out there, his world was collapsing. Not because I destroyed it, but because it was built on lies. And lies don't hold. Once the truth is seen, I walked to the window, looked out at the city. People moving. Cars passing. Life continuing. And for a moment, I felt something unexpected. Not anger. Not sadness. Relief. Because I didn't just lose something that day. I avoided something worse. Something permanent. Something that would have taken much longer to escape. My phone buzzed one last time. I glanced at it. A final message from him. You ruined my life. I stared at those words. Then, I smiled. Not because it was funny, but because it was familiar. The same pattern. Shift blame. Avoid responsibility. I picked up the phone. Typed one sentence. Then hit send. No, you did that yourself. I placed the phone back down. Turned away. And that was the last time I responded to him. Because some endings don't need a conversation. They just need the truth. The next morning, I woke up earlier than usual. Not because I couldn't sleep, but because for the first time in a long time, my mind was quiet. No questions. No doubts. No second guessing. Just still. Sunlight came through the window. Soft. Warm. I lay there for a moment, looking at the ceiling, and realized something strange. I didn't feel broken. I didn't feel like I had lost anything. If anything, I felt lighter. Because the weight I had been carrying was never love. It was illusion. I got out of bed. Slowly. Walked to the mirror. Same face. Same eyes. But different. Not because something had been taken from me, but because something had been removed. The doubt. The confusion. The version of reality that wasn't real. My phone was quiet now. The storm had passed. Or at least, it had moved somewhere else. I didn't check it right away. I didn't need to. Because whatever was happening out there didn't belong to me anymore. I made coffee. Just one cup. Sat by the window. Watched the city wake up. People moving. Cars passing. Life continuing. And for the first time, I wasn't thinking about what happened. I was thinking about what didn't. I didn't marry him. I didn't sign anything. I didn't tie my life to a lie. That mattered more than anything else. Later that day, I finally picked up my phone. Messages still there. Support. Shalt. Stories. People sharing their own experiences. Some thanking me. Some saying they wish they had done the same. That stayed with me. Because this wasn't just my story anymore. It was something bigger. Something real. There was one message I didn't expect. From the woman. The one who stood beside me. I hope you're okay. I smiled slightly. Typed back. I am. And for the first time, that was completely true. I didn't go back to the venue. Didn't try to fix anything. Didn't try to explain more than I already had. Because there was nothing left to fix. What happened? Happened. And sometimes, that's enough. I took off the ring that afternoon. Not dramatically. Not emotionally. Just quietly. Sat on the table. Looked at it for a moment. Then walked away. Because it didn't mean anything anymore. Not after everything I knew. People will probably remember that day as the wedding that didn't happen. The moment everything went wrong. But that's not how I see it. To me, it was the moment everything finally went right. Because I didn't lose a future. I avoided one. I didn't lose love. I lost a lie. And that's not the same thing. So no, I didn't walk away from something important. I walked away from something that was never real to begin with. And once you understand that, you stop asking, why did this happen to me? And start realizing, it didn't happen to me. It saved me. Clapperboard.